Hello, myself Sonal Ramakrishna here. Basically, we are discussing one of the topic that is city creation. In this, basically, we are going to discuss one topic that is this file. Basically, in this, one of the person told that whenever the land is going to divide, whenever basically the land is going to divide, whenever basically the land is going to divide, the satellite is going to divide the land. In this, whenever the satellite is going to divide the land, that would be one or one maximum. Basically, it might be one satellite only, or basically it might be two also. But here, basically, we'll take one satellite. So whenever the satellite is going to divide the land, that time the other satellite basically assume that basically there are more than crore satellite, basically more than crore. Why? Why basically I will tell you why. How basically that I will tell you. Just a minute. This paragraph basically is there. Once upon a time I was walking down in France. One of the day there I got one incident. This paragraph basically, whenever this paragraph is getting created, that time, whenever the paragraph gets complete, basically that satellite basically are there in the sky, in the universe basically. So whenever the new paragraph starts, the another satellite like this, basically more than 1 crore paragraph basically are done, basically more than 1 crore paragraph. So that means more than 1 crore satellite basically exist in the world, basically. Sorry, not in the world, in the satellite world also, basically we can say, in the satellite, in the universe basically. So from 1 crore basically, how you can track that this one satellite basically, that is possible. This here basically the satellite who is controlling, you can track that satellite. No, that is practically that is not possible. 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 So whenever world is going to divide, whenever the world is going to divide, that time basically it would be one satellite, and from 1 crore satellite basically you can't track the satellite basically. And if basically he this one satellite can create 1 crore, so he might have kept himself also very safe, basically, that anybody is trying to reach to this first one satellite basically, so he might have kept something track, no, basically, that somebody is trying to reach to this one satellite. So the group basically who is trying to reach, basically from satellite only, basically he finished that satellite basically, and that basically is name as given as a accident, that some accident basically happen in the satellites. So if he can't connect to the satellite basically, then how basically the land basically, from in land basically, how this land group basically, how they can reach to this land basically. So that is not possible. So first satellite basically groups are going to track that one satellite, and after that only basically the land creation process starts basically. First everything basically happens in satellites basically. Then only basically the land creation process starts. Long before it was told that basically here the earthquake is going to happen by the satellite. So land creation process basically are land process, whatever things basically is going to happen, that process is basically that process basically is controlled. So that process is basically already written by the satellite group long before whatever things basically is going to happen in the land basically. So that is the land process basically. That is the land process. So you can just imagine basically. So one of the satellite groups basically are controlling the world basically, that also you can say. So first the sequence is like this. Satellite communication happens. In that satellite basically, one more than 1 crore satellites are there basically. How you can track basically one that simple satellite basically? That is not possible. After reaching that one satellite, then only basically you can reach to that land, na, basically. Otherwise, basically, how you can basically do this basically? Then basically one of the person told that this process basically somebody knows that basically. That's why he started World War also. So World War One was also done, World War Two war also done, Vietnam War was also done, Pakistan War also basically was done, China War also basically was done. So somebody wants to know that basically who is controlling us. So it's not like that basically that I am telling this just now basically. Somebody has done this practically long before basically. By doing the first world war, second world war, and third world war is ongoing basically. And that will happen basically. That is going to happen basically. Then one of the person told that he basically can't track the satellite basically, right? Because it's 1 crore satellite basically, and 1 crore in 1 crore satellite basically there are lots of satellites of internet also basically, and in this the main thing is the Oracle like company, the SAP like company, and the SQL Server like company, and the PHP like company basically are keeping that data basically of the bank's data basically in satellites basically that are basically given name as a cloud system basically. They are basically keeping that data in the satellites basically, and from satellites basically they are capturing the data because banks data are very, very critical basically, because it might possible that basically in city suddenly basically war will happen and that data basically will end basically. So banks basically can't take the risk, na, basically. Banks group basically never takes the risk, so they basically keeps their data in the satellites. So from 1 crore satellite basically you can't attack the satellites basically. That's very risky because one of the bank will get end basically if that satellite basically will get end, because all banks data are basically in the satellites. So he basically thought that basically we will start the war only basically. So he basically started first world war, second world war, third world war is ongoing basically. Vietnam war basically also he done. He basically done the Pakistan India war. He basically done the China India war. Like this also basically stories are there. And one of the story basically I have already told that basically. So there are basically multiple stories in this world basically which is created. And that story basically are connected with this paragraph. That is connected with the paragraph basically. So I basically told that also that Earth planet basically might possible that suddenly change its direction to this direction to that direction. So if it is moving to that direction, then basically war starts. So that is also one of the story basically. That is basically given as a name as a paragraph basically. And in this paragraph basically thing is the thing is satellites thing basically. So this is also one paragraph basically. So one of the person told that this paragraph basically who is writing here basically, because to create just 4 words basically more than 1,000 cities are created basically, and from 1,000 cities basically the earthquake department basically are earthquake department of the France basically are controlling the whole world basically from just 4 words basically. So one of the person told that how basically he might be doing this basically, because practically if and nobody it might possible that basically the things basically can be tracked. So how basically he might be doing? So he told that basically the unstable data of this and the rest of the world basically are compared, and he basically creates the human clones basically, and he sends the people to that location. He sends to, and basically to save his resource also basically he don't activates the power supply after basically his resources left basically. He after basically his resource basically left leaves the place basically, after that basically he activates the power supply. So whenever basically the power supply data basically comes, unstable data basically is going to connect to that power supply data, and then basically the suddenly basically the earthquakes will come basically. So like this basically he will be doing, like this basically he will be doing, and there are many ways basically by doing basically. So in next video basically we are going to see a little bit more about this topic, that is how basically the earthquake plan basically is going to be executed.